Imagine walking up to the spiritual leader of Tibet, a figure of global reverence, and asking him a question based entirely on a Broadway pun. Does anyone ever greet you with "Hello, Dolly?" Or cornering a former Beatle at a press conference to demand what he did with the money his mother gave him for childhood singing lessons. To understand how these interactions actually happened, you have to look at the baseline of entertainment media in the late 1980s and early 90s. Celebrity interviews were heavily controlled, highly sanitized PR fluff pieces. Publicists guarded their clients, ensuring that every question asked on camera was designed exclusively for positive promotion. Radio broadcaster Howard Stern built his entire morning show around puncturing that exact pretentious, highly guarded Hollywood bubble. He wanted to bypass the publicists entirely, but Stern knew he couldn't send a traditional, polished reporter to do this. The celebrities would simply walk away. He needed a mechanism that A-listers couldn't socially defend against. He needed a Trojan Horse. In 1988, John Melendez was an unknown film student at New York University. He belonged to a local band and was desperately trying to convince his college roommate to recommend him for an internship at Stern's station. Melendez also had a severe, genuine stutter. It was a condition he developed in second grade, a direct result of psychological trauma after witnessing a bitter argument between his parents. His roommate's internship was ending, so the show's producer, Gary Delabate, brought Melendez's name and his stutter up to Howard Stern. Stern didn't ask for a resume. He didn't ask for an interview. He demanded they hire him instantly. The broadcasting industry exclusively prized polished, flawless vocal perfection. Stern looked at that exact standard and realized that a perceived physical flaw was actually the ultimate strategic advantage. This abstract schematic shows exactly how this bypass worked. A standard PR firewall easily blocks normal, aggressive questions, but introducing an interviewer with a severe speech impediment creates an anomaly. Celebrities are terrified of looking bad. Faced with someone visibly struggling to get a sentence out, their social conditioning kicks in. They freeze, unwilling to walk away or snap at the interviewer for fear of looking like a bully. That hesitation was the shield. Once that firewall opened, the payload slipped through. The payload was a sheet of puerile, highly offensive questions, secretly written by Stern's staff. Melendez didn't improvise. He just stood there and read the ammunition directly off the page. The delivery relied entirely on Melendez playing the fool. Out on the red carpet, sporting long hair and heavy metal t-shirts, he completely lacked common pop culture knowledge. He often had no idea who he was interviewing or why the questions he was asking were inherently offensive to the subjects. The formula was explosive. As Stern's morning show hit national syndication, meaning it was broadcast simultaneously across multiple regional markets, Melendez skyrocketed to fame. He secured record deals, booked MTV appearances, and cameos in major comedy films. By combining elite access with utter cluelessness, Melendez engineered a repeatable, viral hack for celebrity culture. He was generating shock value clicks decades before the internet even existed to host them. By 2004, the television landscape was shifting. Traditional network late-night shows were bleeding a highly lucrative demographic, 18 to 25-year-old males, losing them rapidly to edgier cable programming. Desperate to capture that exact youth audience, Jay Leno devised a poaching strategy. Behind Stern's back, Leno quietly offered Melendez the announcer position on The Tonight Show. The fallout was immediate. When Stern found out, he went nuclear on the air, spending weeks berating Leno and accusing him of theft. A bitter, highly public industry feud ignited over a shock-jock intern. Over on NBC, the transformation was jarring. The Stuttering John moniker was entirely dropped. Melendez was put in a suit and introduced to the national primetime audience simply as network announcer John Melendez. To achieve that primetime legitimacy and a massive network salary, Melendez had to strip away the exact edgy, raw context that made his red carpet ambush mechanic work in the first place. Fast forward past the Leno years to 2018. The media landscape had fractured again, shifting away from network television and deep into the wild west of independent podcasting. Hosting his own show, Melendez managed to briefly recapture his old ambush magic. By pretending to be a senator's assistant, he successfully navigated the White House switchboard and managed to get Donald Trump on the phone while the president was traveling on Air Force One. But the digital era also exposed a massive vulnerability. Melendez became the primary subject of a sprawling online community known as the Dabbleverse, a highly active internet subculture dedicated specifically to tracking, archiving, and relentlessly mocking his podcasting efforts. This online mockery rapidly spilled into the real world. By the mid-2020s, Melendez found himself filing lawsuits against rival podcasters for secretly recording his phone calls and engaging in hostile, paper-tearing confrontations at New York comedy clubs. The internet had democratized his tactics. The relentless, boundary-pushing ambush culture he helped pioneer on the red carpet was now turned entirely against him. Looking at his 3 decades in entertainment reveals a deeply unusual trajectory. He navigated his way from a bullied kid in Long Island to an unpaid radio intern, directly to the announcer's podium of The Tonight Show. He didn't climb the industry ladder using traditional broadcasting talent or a polished delivery. He built a multi-million-dollar career by weaponizing an authentic vulnerability. In a media ecosystem completely obsessed with curated perfection and PR control, the most effective way to break through the noise is often a simple willingness to play the fool.